It's been a bit of a journey, yes.
Man, it really has. Like, it's been crazy. We've been going back and forth. Like Lynn was saying, we were designing logos and getting everything going, trying to find developers. And that was the whole story in itself. I had like three developers that I went through. Like two developers scammed me, one website guy scammed me. So it's been
Shit,
crazy,
man, really?
bro. Dead serious. Yeah, like you know how crypto is. I'm like, come on, man, what's going on with the website? Deleted account. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I think that's the hardest part, to have the right teams around you, just to make sure you have the knowledge around the support, and the people does the things what they need to do.
No lie, man. Like, and then getting us all coordinated, making sure everyone is ready to go, like you said, and having the right team that can kind of support the vision that we're all trying to get to is the main thing, without a doubt. So I'm grateful for you
Yeah.
guys, man.
I am really glad to be here. And just to give my knowledge and experience and expertise as well in anything I do. It's just there. So I'm happy to jump on. And as I mentioned the other day, that I'm hired another lady who is a brand designer. She's going to be in the office in house, so we can utilize her skills.
That's amazing, man. We really appreciate you just taking the time and even devoting them in. Fun fact: Mr. Crypto is the guy who did the patchwork logo. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yep.
Because yeah, man, without you, we wouldn't even have a logo. So
It's my pleasure. Yes.
all right. So before we started, I know Lynn and I were talking about it, and I just wanted to kind of, and I'm recording this, so we'll have it in the archive. But I just wanted to kind of talk about how everything came together, and also give him kind of a special shout out, because this whole project came together after Guff kind of like imploded on itself and fell apart. And Lynn literally stepped up, took funds out of his own pocket, paid people back, found the dev, forced him to give over the group, the private keys to everything, and literally started bootstrapping another project together in the midst of the dev just disappearing, which was amazing. And then I came on and saw that he was doing so much and just tried to help him. And, he had to step away for a second to just handle some stuff that he needed to handle. But it's been so, like, the progress was going, and I just was like, hey, let's get it developed and doing everything like that. And that's kind of where I was on what I was in charge of. Um, and so, it's just great to see him back and everything like that. And we wouldn't have been able to do this without Lynn. So, everybody, if you guys don't know Lynn, he is the marketing extraordinaire and just overall great guy, man. I'm super grateful to have him on the team, and then also just super grateful to have him, as a friend, and kind of to get to know him, man, because it's been awesome having him just in my life and being able to talk to him and bounce things off of him. So, man, Lynn, welcome back, and we're glad to have you.
Thank
And
you. That's very awesome to hear.
yeah, man, yeah, it's great. We're glad to have all you guys, and so I guess really where I'll start is I'll kind of start about talking about the project, seeing what questions you guys have, and anything about how it works, and then I guess we'll kind of talk about where we're headed, and kind of what everyone is going to take over, and then we'll go from there if that's cool with y'all.
Cool. Sounds like an idea. I'm happy up to that.
Good deal. Um, so, did everybody get a chance to read the white paper and kind of take a look at everything and see, how it came together, and like how it works?
I had yesterday. Sorry, I'm just there's a bit of disruption in my office at the moment. I had a reading through, yes, and I have a bit of notes on the questions. But once you get through a little bit later, as soon as my office maintenance guard disappears, I'll be able to start asking questions as well.
For sure. I think the best thing to do also would be me to kind of just go over, like, from start to finish how everything works, I guess, from my mind. And then,
Yep.
you guys can basically let me know what you think, and, throw any questions that you have at me at some point as well. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Titano or any of like the tokens that basically have exponential rebases, right? Like I liked the rebase formula that they had in Guff, and I really wanted to make sure that we could kind of incorporate that. But so many people
Okay.
were against it that we ended up kind of going for something like a little bit more like drip at first. And then we came back to this. What it basically does is every day it pays you 1%, and it does this by rebasing the supply and putting more and more supply in your hands, and then using the tax to basically support the supply, so that the supply is no more than 2.5 times the value in the protocol. So basically, it just pays you interest and then backs the actual interest with the funds inside of the RFV and the treasury. So that's kind of like the traditional way of how it works. And we mixed it up in a lot of different ways because I don't think that that's sustainable, right?
Okay.
It seems like a lot of the projects that are doing that are having a lot of price dips, and they don't really look at kind of like what's coming next after they have, because you can't offer 100,000% interest, right, for the foreseeable future and have that be a sustainable project. It's just not realistic. So what we ended up doing is basically putting it up to a community vote, number one, so where the emissions stop, and then the second thing was we ring fenced a big part of the supply. So not only can we burn from that supply, but we developed a special piece of software to where, like in this right here, if you were in the voice chat right now, you'd be earning tokens. If you were sending messages in the Telegram, you'd be earning tokens. If you're reacting to messages, doing anything in the Telegram, you're earning tokens. Same thing on Instagram. If you're liking, commenting, sharing, all that different stuff, you're earning tokens. On Twitter, same thing. If you're liking, commenting, doing all that stuff, you're earning tokens. So we kind of wanted to have a method to not only control the supply, where we can maintain a large piece of the supply and control it, but also to be able to reward those who are kind of helping us spread out the protocol, onboard new capital, and kind of move from that direction. So we have that social engine that's basically going to help us crowdsource marketing. So that's kind of the way that we mixed it up, is by having it where there is a finite supply, and once the finite supply is up, then that finite supply represents ownership in the platform that we're going to be using a lot of the funds to kind of build out and to take the project to the next level, if that makes any sense.
Yes, I'm trying to follow up on everything my office guys left as well. So, okay, so you answered some of my questions already. So what does, how does, we can, or what's the idea for big dumps? What's the, for if there's somebody coming in and making big buys now, and then they're dumping a lot of coins?
That's a great question. So I think us holding, 35% of the supply is going to allow us to cut the supply pretty drastically if we ever have a dump. Also, we've talked about putting in a tax system to where you can only sell a certain percentage per day.
Yep.
So those are kind of the two methods that we want to use to manage dumps. And then also the idea that like it's not like it's not a zero-sum game, and where you're just basically holding to sell for profit. It's basically the game theory of you're either going to hold and take profit, or you're going to basically accumulate your position, because over time, like the dividends that you earn will far outweigh the sell price that you essentially get when you're holding tokens at the beginning. So you're sacrificing short-term, you're taking short-term games and sacrificing your percentage of ownership in the protocol, and as the team continues to burn tokens, then there will be less in circulation. I'm sorry, keep going.
No, that's absolutely fine. I think you answered to my question about dumping, because I had an idea to limit like a sell order or tax for XY amount. If they want to sell, it's going to be higher tax. If they want to sell just a normal amount, it's less tax, just to avoid the dump. Because recently as well, I was in one of the projects, and some of the whales exited the project, so it's plummeted massively down. But the project is still safe, but it was a massive massive dip into that project. And it's also it was a quite small project, and that's why I had an idea. Well, just a question really about understanding how we can avoid whales dumping the project, because it's easy for whales to destroy any small projects.
That's a great point. It definitely is, and I think that we need to take all of those pieces of feedback into consideration. Um, and I'll have a conversation with the dev today and just make sure that the tax system is set up properly. Um, because definitely want to make sure that we're sustainable, and we want to make sure that we can kind of get to that next point to where we can start building out like a larger framework, building out some services that people will be
Mm,
able to use, and that will generate
yeah,
alpha for us, and then also be able to pay the team as well as kind of incentivize people to hold for the long term. So I think that's really the main thing. And then the other thing I also forgot to mention is that when we do the private sale, when we do the token sale, not there's not going to be a very large percentage in circulation at the beginning, precisely because I think we were talking about this today. We don't know how we're going to get that initial liquidity, right? Whether it's going to be through a private sale, a public sale, even if we have like 100,000 of liquidity, there's still going to be like some whales who can come in with, high four figures, low five figures, and basically own a meaningful percentage of the supply that's
yep,
available.
mm,
So we want to make sure that,
absolutely, yes.
yeah. So we want to make sure that like basically most of the gains are going to come from people basically interfacing with the project long term, and essentially like helping us market, helping us spread things out, getting those monthly airdrops from basically doing the engagement, and not from just simply buying the project off the open market, right? Like we think that a lot of those airdrops will be placed back onto the open market, so there will be a nice amount of liquidity for people who want to buy. But we don't want to have it to where you can just come in and scoop up 10% of the supply at the very beginning, because
Mm,
that's a terrible distribution of tokens, and it's really not going to end well. Really, depending on how it goes, I'd rather us hold those tokens for the project, and then also to have people kind of earning those tokens over time.
that is absolutely correct. How does the difficulty with airdrops? What I can see, and what's the solution is, if you suddenly start airdropping quite a bit of amount of tokens,
Mm-hmm.
people tend to sell them for profit.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely, a lot of people will probably be dumping those tokens for profit. I think that the sell mechanism is going to keep them from dumping the tokens for profit, but also like we're playing like the long term game here. So transaction volume is just as important as profit, right? Like in terms of like keeping the price up. So as people sell, the taxes in this system are pretty massive. They're like up to I believe like 24%, right? So you're going to take a
Yep.
big haircut when you essentially sell early, and you're not going to see a lot of those gains because it's all going to get caught up in the slippage on Pancake Swap. We all know that Pancake Swap adds additional slippage, so you'll probably be closer to 30% of your investment that's just going to get taken back into the treasury. So, we're happy for people to come in, sell, do all those different things because it gives us more working capital to like further incentivize the team, and then also to like put into the different treasury accounts so we can use them to build out new utilities. Because as we build out new utilities, um, and we keep burning tokens, less and less of this token will be in circulation. And then once the community has voted on an end for the emissions, then the token will go from being inflationary to becoming deflationary because we'll start burning a lot more tokens, and then we'll start
Okay.
distributing a lot of the alpha as a service to the remaining token holders so that they'll start basically getting alpha off of the piece of the treasury that's deemed non-important, right? As long as it's basically within that 2.5 ratio, we can basically take that capital and put it into projects that are like able to generate us more capital into there. So that will be a growing capital pool that essentially everyone has ownership based on their holdings. So I think the key is kind of to let some people play with the game theory and understand like if you sell now, you're basically just capitalizing the treasury for us to build something later where you sold your ownership stake, and that's, I think, part of the I guess the game that we wanted to create. It's like, are you going to take profit now, or are you going to take profit later, or are you going to simply hold your position of ownership in the profit sharing, kind of like a traditional dividend portfolio, right?
Okay. We have some great ideas. Yes. So what's the so we look, what's the plan when the launches will gonna happen? What's the idea?
Um, I think we also need to talk to Lynn about this. From my perspective, the way that I've seen it is that we built a bot, right, that can basically add and DM millions of people almost at one time. I'm still working on it, but we've been working on this for like a month, and it's almost completed. So the first thing is just to initialize the guerrilla marketing from the bot side. So like getting as many people in as possible, getting them oriented with the mod team, kind of getting the conversation up. I know a great guy. He basically does conversational, just like he brings like 100 people into the chat. He'll send messages every day. So we'll kind of like get the chat going, get it to where it's very active, adding a lot of people over a certain amount of time, and then bringing them in and just introducing the idea of like social distribution to them so that they get motivated to essentially start speaking and to earning tokens and earning those airdrops before we actually go to the pre-sale. And then, like Lynn said, I think we want to either hold a pre-sale or a public sale. And in my day job, I basically create pitch decks and stuff for ICO. So I'll create a nice pitch deck that kind of outlines the total available market cap and stuff like that of where we're going, right? Being a banking protocol, being a lending protocol, having hopefully millions and millions under capital management that we can use to grow our equity. And so basically we'll be able to kind of secure some investors to do a nice launch and kind of move outside of hopefully some of that fair launch, those issues that occur when you're fair launching things, and correct any of the issues that we would have,
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking through the website now as well. Do we have a roadmap plan? What's the plan for now? Next 6 months, next 12 months, and how and where we want to take in the project? Because you just mentioned about lending, which is great, and the other ideas. But how does and when do we think the roadmap will be up?
So the roadmap it's inside of the white paper.
Okay.
I think that's a great point that we need to kind of put it on the website. So the website, I didn't provide a good UI layout for the website, to be honest. Like I made the first UI in Canva, sent it to the developer, and he improved upon it pretty greatly. I really do think that one of the first things that I'd like to personally tackle is us getting a really, really beautiful looking website that kind of displays a little bit more of the information for the investors, because the roadmap is hidden inside of the white paper, and we know.
Yes, I can see that now. Yes,
they don't read, so people don't come and read the docs. They just want to invest and have things be simple. So I think that the first thing that we'll do is kind of publish a few pinned posts and things for the mod team where they have form messages that's like, here's the roadmap, here's how this works, here's how that works, here's how the social engagement engine works, so that we can answer those questions. And then once we get through our first round, before, I'll probably just get somebody to design a Figma file, and we'll reconfigure the front end of the website with the roadmap and the team and some other different things if everyone is interested in that as well. So that's kind of my thoughts, but I'm totally open to what you guys think and how we should kind of go about that.
I think we have to think from the people side. When they are lazy, they don't want to go through details and reading like we do research. They don't want to do that. So because there are basic requirements for every project where people want to invest, they want to see the white paper, they want the roadmap, they want to see Doc's team, and once they have these details and also contract being checked by and verified, then they ready and happy to invest. So we have to simplify these things so it's easy for them to trust in the project.
I highly agree with this. I mean, I think that, and this is why I'm glad we're having this first meeting, is I wanted to identify the current blind spots that we have as we put together the marketing plan and as we kind of get the operational plan together and start bringing people in. It's very important for us to get this feedback from the rest of the team and to understand where are we going with it, what are the problems that we're currently facing, how are we going to be able to solve these problems, and what needs to be done immediately. So um, I'm recording this. Are you? Could you possibly write these 3 or 4 things that you're identifying down so I can make sure to kind of make them my focus over the next weekend or so?
Yes, so we have a roadmap. Roadmap. Looks. Roadmap. Okay. So what's the need? They need so they need to see white papers. It's fine. So and verified contracts. Yeah. So I've just made the notes of these verified contracts. And I think these are the basic, most important things. That is a minimum. That's what is needed. Because as we all into crypto space, we're happy to invest, but we all been rugged by many projects, and I think people getting more and more cautious and scared investing the money, especially in the current climate we are. So we need to be as genuine as we possibly can, just to show them and build the trust into the new investors.
I agree. I definitely agree, and I think that it's kind of up to us as a leadership team to kind of get those things ironed out and make sure that we're kind of on the right page so we can put our best foot forward. And then same thing on the marketing front as well. Like, it's going to be hard for us to just guerrilla market the full project. So I want to make sure that we kind of have a plan to get capital and kind of get in touch. And it seems like Lynn has been really, really great about putting that together. So I'll put together a pitch deck, and then we can kind of go, from that direction on that side as well to kind of get the funds that we'll need to knock out any of these last minute things and really get our best foot forward to kind of, get some YouTubers and whatever else he recommends. And then I will personally focus on getting kind of more of a UI built, seeing exactly what it would, what our developer needs to replace that, or if one of our in-house developers can do that. And then, just kind of going from there. So, yeah, that's great, man. I really appreciate the feedback. I'm always here if you guys have any feedback. So if you keep it going, if you got anything else.
Now, we to as I mentioned, to build something, you need the right team around you. There is never you can't build a Rome alone, and that's as simple as it is, because you're just going to exhaust yourself, and everybody going to step away from you. And that was my experience previously with other businesses and everything else, because I was trying to alone, but that doesn't work. So you need hands around you.
I agree. I think that right now we're trying to put together the leadership team. So in my mind, Lynn is handling marketing. I was hoping you could handle operations and kind of like keeping the team moving forward and talking to the team leads, which would be like the communities lead, the shill lead, and then Lynn and myself about just, and keeping the team oriented. And then I'm going to focus on kind of like, I guess, more of like strategy and just knocking out things like pitch decks and kind of helping to manage the community as well and do those operational things with you. So that's kind of where I saw the team, like the way that we could manage the team is like in a top-down method rather than trying to manage 30 people individually, right? It just doesn't seem realistic. So I think the main thing is now that we kind of have some autonomy, we have meetings that are kind of on the schedule consistently. We'll get a to-do list and a project plan put together, and then we will start. I've already reached out to every single member of the team. I know that some of them are going to take kind of a while to get back to us, and then we'll kind of take an assessment to what we have, where we're at, and what leads are kind of still in the building. I know that the Shield team lead, the communities lead, yourself, myself, and of course Lynn are all kind of ready to go. So whoever else we build out under that will just kind of be placed inside of a department, and then on the to-do list we'll be kind of allocating those things to a department, and it'll be up to the lead to make sure that those things are, or to manage those things, and then the operations team will just kind of go in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and kind of check in with them to make sure that we're making the proper amount of progress. So that's kind of the plan there. If you guys have any suggestions on what the best way to manage the team is, I'm always open to it as well, right? And then I think that we'll just kind of go from there and be working with them to build more autonomy and just get more of like a consistent check-in schedule so that we can start handling things, because there definitely is way too much stuff for anyone to handle alone, myself included at this point.
Yes. Okay. So I think what we need to identify, what you need to probably start with, and we need to really get hands on, is understanding what are the skills for every single person you have in this team, what we can bring you and what we can take over, what's what's available from current teams, current members actually. So I think that's the first thing you would need to understand. Understanding, that you and Len, you know each other better. We've spoken first time over the, on this.
Yep.
But if you understand every single person and what they can bring and what they do in the real life, in here, and how you can utilize these skills is gonna help you identify how you can allocate every single one of us to bring you, so take away all the hands from you, all the pressure, and I think that's going to be the first things to do.
So I think that we have most of that actually done. You're in the main chat right now. What I need to do is I need to add you to the departmental chats, because we have a development chat, a shield chat, core team chat, which would be like the leads, and then a few other chats that I'll add you to. The one chat that's going to be put together today by Lynn is the marketing chat. So I think we'll have that stratification outside from like a broad level, and then when everyone gets back to me immediately, I will kind of go back and through their chat logs, as well as start pulling more questions to them to get like more of a specific amount of what they can do. But right now I know that we have Anthony on the development side. He can kind of handle the bots, configuring the bots, doing all of those different things from a community standpoint in terms of development. Sam is more of a website guy, so he's probably going to be the one who's putting together like the Web3 layers and putting things together, maintaining things, helping deploy the contracts, etc. Myself, I do a lot of like business development from the beginning, so like brand development, and kind of trying to get things off the ground. So I'm going to be working with the operations team. You and I will probably be working very closely so we can just coordinate everyone and get a nice schedule going where everyone's being accountable. Lynn, of course,
Yep.
is the marketing extraordinaire. And then we have a communities guy who's going to be managing the mods and kind of making sure the mods are going. And then one more guy is the shill guy. So he'll be shilling. I have a list of Facebook groups, Reddit groups, and other things for him to shill in. And then I'm sure he also has his own groups, like a shill list that he can go and shill in on Telegram. So that's kind of like a loose distribution. And then we'll be taking like a poll from the main group once we start getting it active and refilled out about who wants to come and fill some of these holes that may be left by team members who are no longer interested, because it has been about almost a year since we began this.
Yes, it's been a while, yes, since we started the journey, yes, and with the Gulf. So it was an interesting journey. But no, we are here. We are nearly there. The team is being built. You pulled up quite a bit of work together. Well done to you and Len. So it's really, I'm really excited to be actually as well, and to be part of this excited project and journey.
We're excited to have you, man. Like, I'm just grateful to anyone who wants to come in and be a part of it and, lend their expertise and their opinions to the chat, because it's not something that we can do alone. It's something that needs to be done with a team, and that we're doing with the team. And so, everyone, to me, their input is more valuable than my own, because I know what I think, but I want to hear, outside perspectives of where everyone is seeing, the blind spots that I'm not seeing, and kind of just coordinate everyone together, because I think that once we pull this off, it'll be a great project. Well, there'll be plenty to go around for everyone, and it can be something that is viable and not only viable from like a project success standpoint, but also viable as a source of revenue for each person, so that we can make more of a commitment to it and continue to grow it into a very large platform. So that's kind of where I'm at on it, and I'm grateful to have you guys just giving me the guidance and stuff from all sides, because this is what it takes for us to get it done.
It's interesting, yes. Just on the other note now,
Yeah.
the project that you started building a project. So, do you have an idea what budget do you need to be completed to stage one to stage two? What's the idea? Do you need any support? How's the just understanding the costs as well to that, because by pulling your things alone is also hard. So just understanding the costs you need and how we can get there. Maybe us can invest and help to support it as well, so that helps speed up things.
That's a great question. So from like an operational standpoint, I really don't have a good idea of what to tell you there. I think the main thing would be, number one is we need a marketing plan, and I know Lynn is working on that marketing plan. So getting the actual numbers for that plan would be number one, and then two would be like things like any sort of additional contract work, and like the website work would probably be about 1,000 or two, maybe, and then kind of getting those things ongoing. The deployment work is most likely going to be free. We need an audit, so I know that RugDoc does free audits and like free contract lookovers. We have someone on the team that also does contract checking. So we'll kind of have that done at a minimal budget until we can do it much more expensively, because I know you guys know like audits are very expensive. So that's kind of where I'm at operationally. The only other expense I think would be like additional mods. I think we have mods that are about 200 a month, and we have two of them. So that's kind of where I'm at on the budget wise. We definitely need to put together a better budget. I'm not really sure exactly how we were going to stratify that out, but most of the team is like volunteers, right? Like everyone who's working is volunteering to work.
Okay.
Yeah, for future
I think.
profits.
Sorry.
No, you're
Just
good.
continue. Sorry.
No, please, you please continue. I was at the end.
Good. So I think the first things we would probably need to do, we need to strategize on understanding the budgets. I am happy to invest in the project, but we would need to understand how we can get there. So because I run my own business, everything is planned out for next 12 months for me in terms of budget, when the money comes in, when it goes out, and what it goes out comes in. So everything is planned out, and I know where I'm going to end of the year. So, looking on the project, I think we would need to understand, what I'm looking is, what is the cost of, as you mentioned, that RugDoc, yes, that the verification, and then we need to understand what is the cost of Certic, yes, Certic. So we just need to understand these costs, and then understanding, okay, how much money do we need for the website, for the contract, for for mods, and we can start actually making plan how we can actually get there. Okay, maybe some of our team members can put it in more money. We can raise it somehow. Make a brainstorm how we can get there faster and better, if that makes sense.
It does. So I have like a small business that I'm just now starting up, and so I know exactly what you mean. I'm not really at the point to where I can project things out by 12 months, so I would love to kind of get your input there and understand more about that. But I do have a spreadsheet that we can break down month to month income versus outcome, if that makes any sense, like expenses versus
Cash
income.
flow, yeah, cash flow, yes.
Mm-hmm. And then we can visualize it all in one summary. So as soon as we get those expenses, I can put those expenses, I guess, by month into that spreadsheet. And then what I was going to personally do is kind of pull like the market cap data of like similar projects and similar other things to kind of simulate where we'd like to be income wise for like an investment standpoint. And then I think we also need that from an operational standpoint of like realistically, this is what we're going to spend. Let's not project out any income. Let's just basically project out the spend. And then I think that that would probably be the operational budget that we could use to actually move forward and not just present to like investments, if that makes any sense.
Yes, um, absolutely. So I think that's going to be probably a good start. Getting the finances understandable. That's going to help a lot.
Okay, that's perfect from an operational standpoint. I did not even think of that, so I appreciate you for putting that input in. I have a list of
It's
things. Oh, keep going.
it's important. So it's important for me in my business to know exactly what I'm spending, where I'm spending, where it's going, when they're coming in, and this is the same business, only in crypto. You have to treat it as a business. There are people doing the work, people working. They have to be paid, and the investors coming in. So it has to be the same way. We have to nail these. If we nail finances, it's going to be much easier going forward.
Beautiful. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that that's brilliant. I don't really think that a lot of projects are doing that. And just like from a daily basis, I see a lot of projects that they're not really paying attention to the operational side of things. So um, I'm happy to basically put those things together, and I think we should work together to do that.
Yeah.
I'll kind of make a list of expenses that I think, and then we can all work to kind of pull this information and see exactly where we would get these numbers from to see exactly what things would cost. And then once we have that, we can kind of have an operational budget, and then it'll be super easy to just basically use that operational budget to project outwards to create like an idealistic statement of returns from an investor standpoint, right? Like with total available, sustainable available, all that good stuff. And then I think we'll have a solid operational plan as well as a solid operational like finance pitch deck to where we can kind of present the idea as a whole. And then in the meantime, I know Lynn is working on the marketing plan. So as we get that together, hopefully we have the marketing plan kind of finished so we can also roll those expenses directly into the budget. And then from there, we would kind of be having we could, extrapolate a timeline from that. How long is this going to take to get this work done, to spend the funds, to gather the funds? And then where does that put us launch wise in terms of like, getting the team together and getting the community prepared to start rolling the product out.
Excellent. That was one of my questions. When and where we can see the marketing plan. But as Len is building that, so we're going to see that soon. And understanding the marketing costs is, the second most important thing to in this field, just to make sure it's actually there before we launch, because people, these small new fail launches, they said, "Oh, we have marketing coming in after the launch," and then they never launched marketing because they never had the budget for that. And this is where most projects fail.
I agree. And I've definitely been thinking about this as well. Like, even to do a fair launch, we're going to need some sort of liquidity, right, to basically put inside of the protocol. And even if we had only like $1,000 or even like a little bit more than that, it's not going to really lend us a good spot to be in terms of combating whales and combating people controlling meaningful percentages of the supply. So I highly agree that we need to get that done and kind of at the same time get the team together so that we can get whatever resources need to be contributed from them into the business as well, so that we can understand exactly like what we have to work with, what needs to be sourced from like the external standpoint, and then how we're going to basically move that forward day to day, operationally, week to week, month to month. Where does the launch come in? Directly after launch, what are we trying to tackle, right? To get some good traction and some demonstration that we can execute. And then, how do we source and find a good way to do the same thing for the future utilities, right? Like, when would be the best time to stop the emissions? How much do we need to truly build out a lending protocol and do all of these different things? Like, those questions need to be answered as well. So I think as we get those answers, it's going to make it 10 times easier for us to kind of move forward and get what we need to get accomplished.
And that's where you nailed it. Yes. Questions, find the answers. If you don't have an answer, then you have to find an answer. When you nail before, it's going to be so much easier. We have to pre-plan, pre-predict many things. This is what's happening in my business every single day. We have meetings with the team leaders every Friday, and we plan it out. We discuss the issues, everything else, and this has been a massive change to when we started. Massive change to this that changed the way the business operates and how people operate.
Yes, for sure. I definitely agree. Yeah, we made a lot of different changes, and we've actually made a lot of complications to it. And I can give you some of the expenses right now in terms of like running some of like the bots and everything like that, but I don't have a full picture. So I think that the rest of the week I'm going to be working on building a full picture, and we can work on that as well. We'll coordinate and kind of figure out what each other's schedules looks like, where we can kind of break that down, or I will make a spreadsheet to where we can just stratify the work and kind of work on our own schedules. But either way, we'll get it done. And then from there, we'll have a better picture of how to go on and do everything and coordinate everyone. And then in the meantime, I think we'll just be pulling in the people who actually respond to the message of like, getting the team back reoriented. And then as we kind of build these things out and start executing on these things, we can start pushing these people into their departments and letting them help us with these things that we're putting together, kind of wrapping the project up and getting things moving. And then that will put us in a much better place. We'll be kind of ready to work things and ready to launch things, and it'll be a lot better for us to do that in the process. So I think that that's a great place to be. And then I don't really have anything else. So, I'm just basically here listening to feedback and seeing if there's anything else that you think is operationally important.
I think one important element, I would say, do you flowchart everything? Do you make like a map what processes has to work? You know what's flowcharts?
Yeah, so like you're talking about like a business process flowchart.
Yes, something like that. Yes, because I have flowcharted every single work I do and where and how what happens, and with the team brainstorm. That's something probably has to happen a little bit later when the team, all the team can come together somehow, somewhere, just to really brainstorm. Because when you have 10 people sitting in one room and then you start brainstorming and flowcharting all the possibilities, and you actually can nail to a point where 90% success rate, by identifying all the possible issues, possibilities, and everything else. That's something, and it's also a document for you to create a next project. And that's something that I do a lot.
Yeah, again, I think that these are high level operational things that like I'm still learning, right? Like I said, I have just started a business, and so a lot of the problems that I'm having in my business are due to the lack of formal processes, the lack of being able to account for resource expenditure and all that different stuff. So I'm right there with you. I think that I would love to kind of put you in the driver's seat on that and learn from you on how that works and what the most efficient way to do it is, and kind of how to do it in real time. And because I see the value in it, right? Like I definitely understand it's important for us to have the processes broken out to where I can take something, hand it to someone, and tell them this is how you do this, and reliably.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to World of Entrepreneurs. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yes, I've been there. I've learned from that, and it's exciting. This is something new for me. I'm taking like a level step up from my current businesses. I have a few businesses, but this is something more interesting, a little bit different, more complicated, and excited. Um, so I think what I would think and see how we can organize eating. What's the idea to be also on the project? What's the idea to become doxed? When does all the team becomes visible? Because that's how we're gonna be looking on the genuine project as well. And I think for us as well, to build it really successful business, I think you have to come together at some stage so you can actually sit into one place and start brainstorming everything for a week or so. What's the chances to get that organized?
I think it's very high. So, like, on the day to day basis, I know for a fact that probably at the end of the day, the leads will end up having some sort of business entity, right? That's incorporated in a place that's friendly to blockchain technology. So, like Estonia, Dubai, all of those different things. And once we actually have launched, and like I'm willing to dox myself almost immediately. I think it will help. I have like a decent following on social media and kind of have been doing that for like the first, I guess portions of my career, doing like more media and entertainment stuff. So I'm happy to kind of put that face on there and show people that like I'm serious about what we're doing and that we're trying to build something meaningful that can interface with this community. And I think the next step would be like getting that business entity established and flowing some of the either the initial investment from investors or flowing some of the actual revenue that's being generated from a company standpoint into this business entity so that we can start kind of organizing things like from a company standpoint and of course like dealing with it on like a tax standpoint of like writing things off, keeping meeting minutes, all of those good things. And then I'm good to really do it whenever, to be honest, right? Like whenever we can get all of that solidified and make it to work where we can kind of have an idea of how it will work and we can recycle those funds back into the business somehow. I think that would be immediate, almost immediate, where we need to figure out how we're going to nail down where we're going to be headquartered, that type of stuff, so that we can all work efficiently together.
Okay. Answered some of my question. Yes. I think what I also meant was to meet the team before we launch.
Oh, to meet before? I think we'll have to do that virtually. So I think on we should have like a team wide Zoom where everyone just introduce themselves and then kind of talks about what they're hoping to get out of the project and does introductions so we can all kind of get to know each other. And then at that point as well, it might be good to pool contact information outside of Telegram, right? So that we can keep a hold of each other, that everyone's being kept accountable, and also because like at some point we'll be dealing with funds. So we want to make sure that we know who everyone is and that everyone is kind of like, on for the long haul. That would kind of be the way that I would put it together.
That's what I wanted to hear. Yes, because it's important for me to know everybody who I work with. In my last 10 years in the business, I worked with hundreds of people. I earned a lot of money and I lost a lot of money. So it works both ways. And understanding when work with people, you have to know each other, and especially when you start looking into multi-million project, it has to be open completely without any hidden faces or so.
I definitely agree. And I think that that's really the way that I'd love to structure things is like having us all together, being able to make sure that we're kind of, we know each other, we trust each other, we can work together, and we understand the stratification of responsibilities and what's expected on a daily basis. Because at the end of the day, like you said, like my goal is to build this into a real business, to build this into a real protocol that's basically competing with some of the bigger protocols. And there's not really a lot of big decentralized lending protocols on Binance at the moment, right? So I think that having something like that would be a game changer, and it would be nice to basically be able to pull that together and do it in a way where we're kind of using existing technology that may not be sustainable for the long run to kind of bootstrap and allocate ownership to people in exchange for the capital that we need to build something like this. So that's kind of the way that I see it, is like we're using a new method of bootstrapping and fundraising. But at the end of the day, we're going to need to organize this and have it be something that's real, that's tangible, so that we can take it to the next level. Because there's a lot of different things that I feel like I'm working with on a daily basis that I could contribute to this. And then I'm sure that everyone else is doing some really amazing things, but it wouldn't make sense for us to tie those things in without having a formalized structure or like a good base of operations and a foundation first.
Okay. Yes, I think that's absolutely right. Okay. I don't think I have too many things to say at this moment. Happy to help and grow this into a massive business. Definitely with my experience and knowledge and joining into your group and putting the heads together, I think we can actually nail it to being a massive success in development in the Web3 area now, I would say.
I definitely agree. I think that like the skill sets that we all have complement each other very well. I'm so glad that you have that operational background that we need to kind of put the formal business like backbone in. I feel like I'm developing it, but I don't have it all the way up to par and up to snuff to basically be able to do it for a large scale business, right? I'm still learning a lot. And so I'm glad to have the ability to be able to learn from you guys and as well from Lynn on the marketing side. And then just kind of lend the expertise that I have as well, just kind of from like a media content creation standpoint. And really just kind of put things together and be able to really, have it be something that's successful. That's really the goal here. So I'm glad that we got on this first meeting. I know that we were missing a lot of people. People kind of jumped in and jumped out, but to me right now, this is kind of the core group that we need to make things move forward and be successful on a certain level. So I'm happy that we've got it all done, and I've been recording it, so I'll just drop it right inside of the group. And then from there, I'll put together the to-do list and everything like that, and then we can start kind of trying to organize that around the best way to organize that. I mean, we can do a Gantt chart, we can do all different types of things, but having so many different people, I'm not really exactly sure what the best way for me to do that would be, if that makes any sense. Like, I know that I can put together like an Asana plan or something like that, but I was going to just do it in Excel because it seems like it's easier for everyone. But how do you guys feel about the planning? What's the best way to do the planning?
Okay, so that's okay. So first, the most important thing, we would need to create a full list, everything what we need to accomplish. Okay, so that's the first thing. I think you are the brains on this one. I think it's going to be easier when you go through. So just to give you an idea, okay, yeah. See the project from the end, okay, and work backwards. So that's going to be the first things to do. So once the project is completed, what do we have? We have the certifications, we have accreditations, we have approvals, we have all these systems, and then you work backwards. We have the net marketing, and once you nail every single item, what needs to be done, we can allocate what is the most urgent and important, what we need to do first, what we need to do second. We can actually identify into groups the tasks, okay? Once we have all the tasks into a place, then we can start looking into Gantt chart. Before that, the Gantt chart is not needed. Just brainstorm everything what you can think, what needs to be in the project, put it into a spreadsheet, and then we need to come together and start working as a team to discussing every single positions, what needs to be first, why it needs to be first, how much it's going to cost us, and when can we get it done. Once we have these things, it's going to be the Gantt chart will build himself.
Okay, so basically you're saying like we need to get the scope of work there, and then we can kind of start getting a timeline established.
Yes, before you know what needs to be done. You can probably work on the things that is least important, and you can do them well, but they're not important at that moment, and the important things are left behind.
Right. Great point. Definitely see that.
Okay. So we definitely need a full list of understanding. So we did discuss a few things here, which is important now and needs to be done, but we would need understanding full list. Maybe we can discuss that on the second meeting when we are more people here. We can start discussing, going through completely also the roadmap, understanding the project, what else it needs in the project. Probably we can do it that way.
Yeah, so I think that our next meeting is going to be scheduled probably for next Tuesday. I'm not really sure how Tuesdays and Thursdays are working out for everyone's schedule. We may move one of those days to a weekend day, just to make things a little bit more palatable for the rest of the team. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll just put together a spreadsheet and just type out every single to-do item I know that needs to be done, and then we can kind of all contribute to that as the week goes on. And then from there, I think we'll be able to organize this a little bit more in the next meeting and kind of start getting an idea of how we tackle all of these different items.
Yes, I think that's the best step, and we can be just contributing to that. Oh, I can completely agree with you.
Okay, that sounds great. I know Lynn's in the car, so he's kind of just listening in, and then but he's kind of gotten the full scope of everything. So I will make sure that we can all kind of coordinate, and we'll be in the group. I'll get started on that to-do list, and then from there we'll coordinate our next meeting and figure out when the best time is for us to touch base and kind of talk about what we went over today.
Absolutely. I think it was great to meet up here. If you ever need anything from me as well, in the meantime, any questions, just I'm always in the chat when I don't sleep.
I heard that, man. Same here. So, I've been doing a lot of stuff kind of individually for the last 6 months or so, just trying to get it all together so I could kind of get a better idea of how everything would work. And now that we have that, I think it's time for us to just be working all together. So I'll be in there every day. If y'all have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll get right back to you as well. And then I'll definitely let you guys know, where we're at and what I'm thinking and if we need to do anything urgently. And then we'll just get the scope of work together and be ready to get it going.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward. So I think that's everything for me at this moment as well. Great to be here, guys, as well again. And yes, happy to just rock and roll.
Yeah, let's get it done, guys. I appreciate all of y'all's time. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. And we'll be in the group. And then I'll go ahead and get this recording rendered out and then basically post it in the group as well. And, we'll just be ready to start going.
Excellent. I think with that we can end up. Lynn, he listened to all of that. He doesn't have to go and listen again, but the rest of the guys are going to have quite a bit long recording to listen.
Hey, that's the consequences of not showing up to the meeting.
Yes. Okay. I think that's everything. Yes.
Yep. All right, guys.
For the first meeting. Yes. Nice one. Thanks for being here. And we'll be in touch very, very soon, every day.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll go back and forth. And yeah, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day. I know everyone's busy, so I appreciate y'all for being here and lending your expertise or listening in and putting your expertise together in everything else. So with that, we'll close it all out. And then, thanks, guys.
Okay, nice one. See you later then.
Later, guys.